Chargers' new offensive coordinator, Greg Roman, gets vocal and is already visualizing the big potential for the Chargers offense in 2024 with the build of Justin Herbert and potentially strengthening the run game of what it's lacked in the last few years. More of that here on Chargers Syndicate. What's going on, you guys? Jake Silva here on Charger Syndicate. Appreciating you guys for tuning on in. I encourage all of you guys, if you haven't done so already, to like, subscribe, and hit the bell button to keep you up to date on future and past videos of everything you need to know about Chargers news and more. So we're breaking down basically the comments that were made from Chargers' new offensive coordinator, Greg Roman, who was hired on at least a couple months ago by the LA Chargers as a part of Jim Harbaugh's system. Greg Roman, as you know, is no stranger in the NFL, as he's been a part of different offenses in the past, from San Francisco to Buffalo and Baltimore, and now a part of the LA Chargers. Greg Roman, which everybody knows, he is humongous on the run game. That is his biggest philosophy, is he wants to develop a strong and hard run game for the Chargers, which has been lacking in the last few years. So Greg Roman basically came out and said in an interview, and basically showing off the potential of the Chargers offense by basically saying, can you imagine Justin Herbert with a great run game? We don't know, but I can imagine what it may look like. So that's kind of the vision. Since Justin Herbert was drafted in 2020, the Chargers' best rushing ranking was 18th, and that was just in his rookie season. But ever since then, they were ranked in the bottom 10 every single year. That has been a problem. Yes, that this is also including with having Austin Eckler. If you don't have a solid run game there with you, this is where the problems begin to unfold. And the Chargers have a lot of different possibilities of who they may potentially fill in if, in fact, Austin Eckler does end up walking in the free agent market. So Greg Roman, as we can kind of look at from the statistic standpoints of his ranks of total offenses all the way together, you could kind of see exactly the win-loss percentage that he has had from his time in San Francisco and in Buffalo and all the way through Baltimore and up to now. You could tell that some of his rankings as far as win-loss percentage from all of these teams, he's basically been around in the ranks of between a top 10, top 15 offense all the way together. But Greg Roman does establish a great run game, and that is part of his philosophy that he's going to bring on with the Chargers. Basically looking at it from this perspective and in this category from it, is that in the rushing offense that Greg Roman produced, we look at least San Francisco and what he's produced. He has produced this team to almost be near the ranks of the second best rushing offense in the league. As you can see, rushing offenses has been ranked 4th, 3rd, and 4th all the way from 2012 to 2014 before he took the Buffalo offensive coordinating job. Now, throughout that time, from Buffalo all the way down to 2020, when he was in Baltimore, they all have been ranked first in rushing yards. Now, as far as touchdown scores, it had been kind of rough in his time all the way from 2011 to 2014 with the Niners, but had gotten better the second that he had the first 2 years with Buffalo, and then ended up with Baltimore all the way to 2020, where he was ranked first with yards per attempt, but also was ranked first in touchdowns in both of his years in Buffalo. As you know, Greg Roman loves the run. He's established this even at a time when San Francisco, they moved off of Alex Smith, sent him to Kansas City. But at the same time, they also worked with this with Colin Kaepernick. But this also produced big-time names as well. It's produced names like Frank Gore, to getting his career rejuvenated and where he was one of the best rushers in the NFC. But the other thing is, It's also come all the way down to his time in Baltimore, where he had produced one of the best rushing offenses, where that was part of their DNA. They ran with this with Lamar Jackson, with Mark Ingram, potentially J.K. Dobbins before he ended up going down with injuries, but they have always been a rush first offense. The Chargers in the last few years, before even establishing a solid run game, had mostly been a passing team, and which means that they've been kind of forcing a lot of their plays with Justin Herbert. So at this point, they've been relying on Herbert's talent, Herbert's arm to basically bail him out of a lot of different plays, which seems to have been the problem. Anthony Lynn, they try to at the very least make this work, but they did have a rock star offensive coordinator at the time in Shane Steichen. But since then, Joe Lombardi's offense has not shown that they have proven themselves to be very, very innovative. And there was no fair shot for Kellen Moore to basically see what his potentials are as a offensive coordinator, and can it translate to become a potential next head coach. So for Greg Roman, who's worked with Jim Harbaugh in the past, he's familiarized with exactly it's a run first type offense and one that they want to wear down opposing defenses. But the best combination of that is that they don't have to worry about, well, what's the talent standpoint going to look like, for Justin Herbert, because they know that Justin Herbert can throw the deep ball. They also know that he can make plays off script, especially when it comes to RPOs. But at the same time, Justin Herbert is unlimited, as I've always said. Now, he may not have looked that way with Joe Lombardi, but we know Joe Lombardi was all about short passes and then continuously try to run the football. But there was no big slam dunk plays for whatever reason. So as far as Greg Roman is concerned, most of this is he's getting a lot of help with Jim Harbaugh. This is the same philosophy that they played with since his tenure in San Francisco, with Frank Gore and with Colin Kaepernick. And at this point, with Justin Herbert, you never have to worry about if his talent is shortened enough in the AFC, and let alone in this division in the AFC West with Patrick Mahomes. But the question mark is, who do we really have as a runner that fits in Greg Roman's system? That's where it's going to be another video for another time as far as potential landing spots in the running back position. But there have been names that's been thrown out there. Saquon Barkley, his name started emerging as a potential fit for the Chargers. And even as Jim Harbaugh basically mentioned and had great things to say about Saquon, the other part is Josh Jacobs. But who knows if he's ready to trade his colors from the Raiders to go into a Chargers bolting color. I don't really potentially see that happening. But there also has been news as well that Austin Eckler has voiced out saying he wants to be a Charger for his career. But who knows if that's basically publicity stunt or if he's really, really loving this team, because he's been back and forth ever since he put together the group to basically support running backs and be an outreach and hoping that running backs would get paid respectfully by the league. But the thing with Greg Roman is he is willing to play a hard and a grit type offense in order for opposing defenses to get wore out. Because initially you want to tire out that front line to where they just cannot get to the quarterback, let alone they can't even contest themselves against the run. So at this point, Greg Roman's going to bring in whomever that could basically come off as explosive right off the handoff, and is also smart to giving a team maybe potentially 7 to 9 yards, per carry, or maybe even more than that. But the hope is that they're going to have a guy who's going to rush for more than 100 yards per game. If that becomes the case, the Chargers are going to become a lethal offense, and that will also help for Justin Herbert's his ability to grow and thrive and not have to feel like the franchise, all of it, the weight is on his shoulders entirely based upon the pass. He will get support. He will get help. He does have a supportive offensive line. They could build a little bit more up on that with the departure potentially of Corey Linsley. But if Greg Roman plays this right, and understands the capabilities Justin Herbert is very adequate to, then we know the Chargers will be a lethal offense come next season. And we could potentially see, for once, Justin Herbert working with Jim Harbaugh and Greg Roman's offense to where he can go off in a potential MVP caliber season. That's all that we got here for today on Charger Syndicate. Remember to like, subscribe, and hit the bell button to keep you up to date. And we will have more videos along the way here. Jake Silva signing off, and we will see you guys in the next video of Charger Syndicate.